kind of came to a point in my life where I realized that I had a high school education, but that didn't mean anything anymore.
It was absolutely wonderful. I love being on stage. I love the energy that like actors and audience kind of exchange.
How you doing?
I'm Audra.
I'm James.
So what are you studying, James?
I'm right now getting my associates in business. I should be graduating in the spring.
Oh, me too. Hey.
Oh yeah?
Cool.
Great.
What are you planning to do with it?
Actually, I'm returning to work. I took time out from work to get my associates because it was needed for advancement at work, for applying for jobs. I kind of came to a point in my life where I realized that I had a high school education, but that didn't mean anything anymore. It's some college is the new high school, as I like to say. So that kind of took me that direction. I'm here and trying to move forward with that. How about you? What are you going to do with yours?
Well, I'm studying theater. I'm trying to get an associate's in that. And my original plan was to work until they told me I had to go get a bachelor's, and then go get a bachelor's, work until they had to tell me, you know, go get a master's. But I had a meeting with my counselor the other day, and they were like, you should probably go get all of that now, you know, because with inflation rates, it's probably not going to be any cheaper in 10 years to go get a bachelor's, that kind of thing.
Why you have the opportunity. I mean, I've tried to be in college. This is my third start at college. Mm-hmm. So it's that whole thing of, yeah, if you have the time to do it, because you don't know what's going to happen later in life.
Exactly, yeah.
So what kind of acting have you been doing here?
I just recently did my first musical this summer, but usually I'm a stage actress. I like comedy. My voice professor tells me that I'm a character actress, so, which she said I need to tone down a little bit. But yeah, I act where I can get work, you know.
Oh,
so, and I mean, we live so close to the DC area, which is like a really nice theatrical hub. So I'm gonna try to siphon myself in there, you know. But
it seems like DC seems to be a stepping stone to like New York sometimes.
I guess so.
I see a lot of plays that come through like at Lincoln and different areas that they're running them here first and then they're going to New York. So that's good.
Yeah, it's great. And like a lot of people just stay here because New York is really scary and really expensive.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, it's a good place to kind of settle down and build your own little business if you want.
Did you grow up in the area?
I did. I've never lived anywhere that's not Maryland. So.
Oh, wow.
What about you?
I grew up in California.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up in California, lived there until 2007. Mm-hmm. Then I moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and lived there for 5 years, and then I've been living here since 2012.
Did your jobs make you move? Or?
Well, actually, my wife pursued a higher education in Pittsburgh, and so I moved with her there. That's where I ended up being an ambulance dispatcher and a police dispatcher, a public safety dispatcher. Okay. Yeah, Pittsburgh was really interesting.
It sounds interesting.
It is. It's a very, very interesting place to be. It was kind of cool.
But as a police dispatcher and ambulance dispatcher, is it a hard job in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be 911. I worked for a hospital system.
Okay.
And so basically like campus police here, we had a hospital police force that I dealt with. And then also when I was an ambulance dispatcher, it was discharging and transport for the hospital system there. So UPMC is really large. They got like 10 hospitals. And,
wow.
Yeah, it was a job I took because it was a recession. It was like I tried to get into what I was into, and I found a job as that. I was very surprised that I ended up doing that.
Did you like it?
It was interesting. It gave me a great perspective on on police work, on EMTs and first responders. It was kind of gave me an insight into that. It was tested a lot of things. I don't think I would want to be a 911 operator or dispatcher.
That would seem like a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me a little about your family and how they ended up in the DC area.
Wow. I'm half black and my mother is Sri Lankan, so I'm half Sri Lankan. And the house that I grew up in is actually the house that she grew up in with her parents. So when her parents came to the U.S., they worked in the embassy in DC.
Oh.
And then they just settled down here and kind of did their own thing. So she moved out for a little bit, had me move back in. So that's where I ended up here, because my house is like right over there.
Oh, cool.
So that's my family.
So what brought you to being in acting? Was it something you did in high school or?
I think I got into it in middle school. I think I tried out for the basketball team and didn't get in. So I was like, let me try this instead. And it was absolutely wonderful. I love being on stage. I love the energy that like actors and audience kind of exchange. Like, it's not theater if there's no audience, you know? And I love that theater kind of works to bring a message, like even farcical comedies or like tragedies that don't really have any purpose, like still bring a message to an audience, and it's kind of like a way to spread it. And I think that would be cool if theater was more spread out in the United States instead of being very centralized in DC and New York and LA, but that's more for movies. But so yeah, I just fell into it. What about you? Where's your family from?
My parents are both from a town in Iowa. Then they moved to California after World War II. They had met after World War II and settled in a place north of San Francisco. And that's where I grew up. I ended up kind of taking a route of where I ended up in a town that the only industry was tourism. And so I ended up working in restaurants. And then I ended up becoming a cook and then a chef.
Wow.
But I didn't like the hours. So I ended up getting into warehousing, which was working for a bunch of different companies, and started out in the early days of software where they actually used diskettes and manuals and everything like that. And then that just transferred into working for a chocolate company, running their warehousing and shipping, working for a couple different software companies doing that. So that's kind of took me this route.
Yeah, just a wavy line all the way back to here.
There's one thing is I've never had a straight course of like thinking this is where I'm going to be, because you never know what's going to happen. Just like with the recession, all of a sudden I ended up being a dispatcher.
That's fair.
You find where you're wanted and use the skills you've already acquired.
That's cool. Is your family still in California right now?
I have most of my family's in California. I have a sister who lives in New Zealand. I have a sister who lives in Massachusetts. So, and then they're all over in California and Los Angeles. And I have a sister who's an actress who.
Really?
Yeah, but she's been living in LA for a long time doing it. And she actually got into pharmaceutical sales and then are actually selling hospital supplies. So she did that for a long time, and now she's going back to school to get a doctorate in physical therapy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a wavy line too. That's really cool.
Well, she had been a physical therapist in Germany, where she had gone to school, but they didn't. They wouldn't take her. Her degree wasn't transferable here.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's so frustrating.
Yeah. And then she realized, like a lot of professions, and we're both going to find this out, as you said, get your bachelor's, get your master's, and so forth. She found out that she might as well get a doctorate in physical therapy at this point.
If you got the time, I guess.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's frustrating.
Yeah, I think you're going to come across that a lot. I mean, that was my experiences. All the jobs that I had required high school and and experience, and I always had lots of experience. And then the recession changed it all to where all of a sudden I needed some college. And as I try to tell people, it's if you have friends who not going to get out of high school, tell them to take some college. Because it's the big turning point now.
Yeah, and that's frustrating because there are people who have years and years of experience, but if you don't have that little sheet of paper, then what are you gonna do?
Oh yeah. So what classes have you found the hardest that are not related to acting that you've taken?
I am taking dance classes as well. I mean, I guess that's kind of related because it's like theater, all of it. But those are really hard because just getting over yourself and my own like insecurities about my physical form enough to kind of get critiqued and realize like what am I doing wrong and how can I fix it, and like I don't know, that's really hard.
Any specific dance or just
Modern.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which really changed my perceptions about modern, because I was one of those people who was like, modern dance is kind of weird, you know? But taking it, it's like, oh, this is beautiful. It's like taking everything, every dance form, ballet, jazz, you know, just kind of mushing it together.
Yeah,
And-
at my campus at Tacoma Park,
Yeah.
there's a big African dance group and club,
Yeah.
and it's just amazing. They really love it. It's like everyone who's participating in it, it's just it looks like so much fun.
It is. It's and the dance community like is such a small community that once you know everyone, it's like a big family. It's really great. What about you?
Oh, I as far as like classes that I've been surprised at, I just finished taking biology, and I found it really hard. And I ended up getting an A in it, but I was like, I didn't think. Yeah, I'm one of those people who just doesn't think of myself as an academic person. So it's like I really have to spend the time at it and really struggle with it. But I thought it was surprising that I did so well in biology when I'm not a STEM person. It's like everything that has to do with STEM, I go, no.
Me too. Those are the hardest classes. Wow.
Yeah.
What kind of biology?
It was just Biology 101 with a
Okay.
lab. I mean, it's a requirement for business, which I thought was really neat. There's a lot of classes that I've had to take for my associates
Yeah.
that really kind of broaden my aspect. Actually, I have to take environmental biology next semester.
Do you really?
Yeah.
All right, well, good luck.
Oh yeah, I think I'll do better. The Biology 101 was hard. They cover everything.
Everything.
I mean, you're doing DNA, just cell division, everything. That's just
my
like
God.
it just makes you go, what am I thinking about?
In
Yeah.
one semester, they just cram
Yeah.
it all in.
Yeah.
That's wild. What's your favorite class, though, that you've taken so far?
I actually just did a computer applications class, which is basically covers just all the Microsoft programs, and it's very practical. If you ever take it, I think it was really a good. I mean, I've had exposure to working with computers since the late '80s, but it was really thorough in that it tried to drive you towards writing resumes, applications to college, learning how to teach other people. It has a service learning aspect to it, so you can teach other people how to use computer applications. So I thought it was one of the best classes I've seen here.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like, you're not just learning something, you're learning how to
How to
help
apply
other people
it.
learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was one of the most interesting things was the professor had us use PowerPoint to create a resume. And so since there's limited space, it makes you be brief and concise about what you put on your resume. And it was really really great exercise.
That's
Yeah.
really helpful. How does your family feel about you going back to school?
Oh, they're all over the place. It's like, I mean, because I have one sister who's going back to school again.
Sure, so she's like, woo.
Yeah, I think everyone in my family's taken different journeys. I just had a brother who he retired as a ferry boat captain on San Francisco Bay.
Really?
Yeah, he just retired.
Well, congrats. Wow.
Yeah. So he's going to move to Mexico. So, are you the only child in your family, or you have other brothers and sisters? Or?
I have two brothers, one younger and one older. That's a cool story, I guess. My older brother, my mother had him when she was 17, and she was going to my high school. Wild, we've never moved. And she gave him up for adoption. And then, like, I think 19 years later, when I was 14, he called her, like, finally. And he's been living in the DC area this whole time, so I could have passed him on the street.
Oh,
You
wow.
know, yeah. And they linked back up, and he's part of us now. But for 14 years, I had no idea, you know, because I mean, my mom's family's a little like that, so she didn't really want to tell anyone besides people who like already knew because she was 17 living with them.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so she was like, by the way, here's an older brother. And I was like, oh, cool.
Do you spend a lot of time with them?
Not as much as I'd like to.
Yeah.
He just graduated UNC, and he's moving to California to start a job at Walmart, like on the executive board.
Oh, wow.
Kind of thing. Yeah, he does management and business too.
Oh, cool.
So when you said you're a business major, I was like, hey, I kind of know a little bit about that.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, what about you? Well, so you have a sister in New Zealand.
I actually have 5 sisters and a brother.
That's a huge family.
My brother is 10 years older than me, and then the youngest sister, she is 6 years younger than me.
Okay.
So we're all in between.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
There's a whole mess of us.
Was that hard growing up, or did that make it better?
It was very inspiring to get out of the house.
That's very.
It was very motivational. It was like, yeah, I need to get out of the house.
Yeah, get your own room.
It was good. It was one of those things of as we all got out of the house, we became closer. It's like living on top of each other was not conducive. It's that thing of like, it's not the Brady Bunch, but it gets to be crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, but it was very interesting where we grew up and everything, and just all the different stories and different paths everyone took.
So what is it like returning to school with a bunch of people who are like tiny like me?
Actually, that's funny because I took a photo of my biology class that we were in. We did a group photo and everything, and I sent it out to people, and I looked at it, and it's like, when I'm with students and everything, I don't think about my presence of how large I am and everything. And it's like, because people are different sizes, but it's like as an adult and also
like
just my physical size, I'm like bigger than everyone else, fitting into little desks and everything. But I really enjoy it a lot. I think I kind of don't think of myself as as someone who's returning. I think of somebody I'm on the same journey, Yeah. It's like I'm in the same place because it is. You're having to learn, you're having to figure out how to learn. I mean, that was the one thing is I came back, and I'm glad as a returning student, I really have to be aware of knowing who I am and what I'm capable of and not what I'm not capable of and what I had to learn again. I had to do a lot of remedial math and everything when I came here, and remedial English. And so just giving myself one of the best lessons someone told me was give myself the time to learn.
Yeah.
And I've really had to spend, for almost every 1 hour of class, I spend almost 3 hours studying.
Yeah, wow.
And it's really helped me. Well, because for me, I wasn't a good high school student. And so I came back, and it's more of like I needed to become a better student.
Yeah, to kind of just push you on your life journey.
Oh yeah, learning is, I've always learned, but not in an academic sense. Not like here where it's like, okay, you got to learn this by here.
Yeah,
you got to learn this by this.
Yeah.
And not a great test taker.
Who is? Who really among us is a good
Some people must be.
Well, I haven't met them, so when you find them, let me know.
So what do you like about the diversity of students? Have you had a lot of older students in your classes, or?
Yeah, actually a lot of older students in theater classes, which is amazing. It's great because they just offer a much more adult, unique perspective because they've been through it all, and we're kind of dumb. So we're not dumb, but we don't know. We don't know what the world is like out there, and they're like, here is what the world is like. How do we apply this? That kind of thing. And
sometimes as you're an older person, you got to remember you don't know what it's like because the world is changing all the time.
That's a good point.
I mean, that's the one thing is you always are going to learn, just like as we're talking about the progression of always coming back to school.
Yeah.
It's always going to be there. You're going to have to learn something new every day.
Yeah, it's great, but it's terrifying, but it's great.
Yeah, it's a challenge, and it's like if you're not afraid, you're not gonna make the right choices.
Good point.
If you become comfortable, it's not good.
Yeah, exactly. What is it like interacting with the students in your class then? In your classes?
It's interesting because a lot of people are very standoffish at first because I'm much older. And so the thing is, in the beginning, it's standoffish, but but I get involved in, since I'm not really of an age to be social here, I get involved in study groups. I've directed a few study groups, and that really has been very, very cool experience. And it's that thing of study groups. I think everyone should try to start them, be involved in them, because it's the one thing I learned is if you can explain it to somebody else, then you understand it.
That's a good point.
And it was really, I did a math one. I actually did math on this campus. I did a study group. I did one down at Tacoma Park. And just recently for biology, I did a study group. And it was really good. And then, one of the best experiences was I did did an oral presentation with someone, and much younger than me, and she had an arts background. So we were trying to do an oral presentation for biology, and it was really cool to do like a give and take of like, here's how we're going to present this, and we actually took what each of us was interested in and divided it up that way, and it was really it turned out to be a cool presentation, and was successful. But yeah, it was like that, and that's like work. You're gonna, when you get out in the world or anything, well, acting, you have to play off of who's around you.
You really do. Are you going? So you're going back to work after this. Are you gonna pursue any more education? Or are you
Yes, constantly. I think I'm gonna take, since I'm not a STEM person, my math didn't go to calculus here. That's probably the first thing I'm gonna do. And then the thing is, as you kind of alluded to, is your employer making you go to school?
Yeah.
I've actually want to have it to where I work someplace where they'll pay for it, or at least subsidize it.
Yeah.
Because that can pay, I know people who've gotten engineering degrees and had their employers pay for them.
Yeah.
So that's a good commitment.
Well, I guess it's time to head out, but this has been really fun and really enlightening, James. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Audra. I mean, I probably talked too much, but
You did not.
But this has been very fun. I'll probably hopefully see you around.
I'll see you in the spring.
Especially if I'm down at Tacoma Park campus, that I'll be up here sometime.
Yeah, definitely come
We'll
by.
probably see you at graduation.
I'll see you there.
All right.
Bye,
Great.
James.
Thanks.